Hello, 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 and welcome everyone to the live episode of the Better Together Unity TV. That's B2G Unity TV. Coming tonight, I guess, by way of relationship table talk. If we had to pick one, and I guess I would add butterfly evolution because it's really about transformation. Everything is. So, how are you doing, my brother Trent?
Good, good, good. How's it going? How's it going?
It's going good. It's going good.
That's
I've
good.
been gone, been out missing 2 weeks now. Y'all, I
Okay.
celebrated 55. So, for those of you who did not get a chance to wish me happy birthday, you have an opportunity tonight, right?
55 and still alive. Good stuff.
Yep. I said 55 saving lives.
Okay, good stuff. Good
Yeah,
stuff.
in a better way, include my own. So, I can't leave
Absolutely.
myself out. And I mean, what I mean by that is just continuing to grow. And they say hurting people hurt people. I believe healing people help people heal as well.
Absolutely.
So that's what I mean by saving lives, not like, you know, this world life, but internally that spiritual oneness I think that we sometimes unconsciously seek. So that's what I mean by that. But what's going on your way?
Can't call it, might spoil it.
Call it, might
Everything good
spoil it.
though. Everything
He's
good.
back,
Everything's
y'all. Can't call it, might spoil it.
everything's good. Everything can't complain.
Yeah,
Can't complain at all.
right. It's good. It's good. Y'all, I had a wonderful, wonderful vacation. And I must just stop here for a minute because I'm one of those people who, like, if I had my choice this time around, I would have, like, stayed home because that's really what I wanted to do. But I really understand now the importance of stepping away in a deeper way, of just kind of stepping away from it all, even if it's just a staycation, like where you just disconnect on a higher level and leave it behind. I had, again, one of the best birthdays, I think, second to the one that I spent at Shelby Farms. I don't know what number it was, but we had our hammocks out, lunch, sandwiches, and stayed out there all day and slept like in the hammock, just in the middle of nowhere. The peace that it brought. So for those of you who are maybe like me and you think you don't need a vacation, or you think, oh, it's all good, I can stay here, even if it's just for a day that you step away,
Right.
I encourage you to do so because it made a world of difference in my life.
Good stuff.
So yeah. How's the weather your way? Because we had a pour down here. I was telling Trent, y'all got caught
It
in the
rained a
rain.
little bit. Rained a little bit yesterday, but if you're familiar with New Orleans and Louisiana, when the rain comes, the heat is not too far behind the humidity. So it's getting there.
Okay.
It's getting there.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome everyone again. We're gonna move right along. Are we live? We are live, right?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
We don't want that to happen again. Don't want that to
No,
happen
no,
again.
no, no. We're good though. We're
We're
good.
good. Okay, so tonight's topic, you guys, is emotional intimacy. And really, I think, Trent, I don't know if you've thought about this, really a spinoff from what we did on emotional something. I can't remember what it was, but I would say it's taking it to a different and deeper level, diving into the relation aspect of it, where I think first initially we were talking about just you yourself. Um,
Right.
but so I just kind of wanted to put the topic out there before we get started. I want to remind you guys of the Bluff City Leadership, where we talk about the importance of effective communication, not just speaking those words, but speaking to be understood and also to understand the other person. And in doing that, in the life coaching and the couples coaching that I offer, it's all about that. It's all about learning to effectively communicate and answer the questions: what do you need from me, and how do you need it? Not just from others, but ask yourself of that. What do I need and how do I need it, so you can successfully express that? So, in doing so, again, we offer the assessment if anyone's interested in learning about how to take it. And that free 30-minute of unpacking the assessment, please reach out to me. You can also reach out to Trent, as he is an introducer I talked a little bit about that the last time we were on. I'm going to try to continue to talk about that. If you're interested in being an introducer, all it requires you to do is take that assessment, have me unpack the assessment for you. After that, you get your own account set up as an introducer. Now, you cannot do the unpacking unless it's something that you want to do as becoming a certified life language coach. But as far as being an introducer to it, your church, your place of employment, your friends, your family, you can do that, and you can also get paid by doing that. You set up your own link. I'll help you do that, and you go from there, and you can actually make income from it and help people learn more about who they are and how to express that person to their family, their friends, the world, society, and it gets us to a point where we stop feeling like we have to be this way with some person, this way at work, this way at home. That is confusion. This way with my guy or my girl, with my girlfriends. When you just genuinely learn to be your authentic self and
Think about that.
understand what that is.
Think about that. Thought came to mind. I want to say
Let me hear it. Let me hear it.
that's got to be seriously exhausting to wear all those different faces around all those different people.
Yes.
I got to be this way with a girlfriend. I got to be this way with my brother. I got to be this way with a friend. When you could have one face,
Yes.
that's
Erica, I don't know if you remember Erica Murray. It's like sometimes you know something and or you register with something, but then
right.
when you hear it, Erica Murray is the author of CEO to the Power of You. And
Hmm.
in that book, she talks about how many pieces we are because we try to be everything for everybody.
Exactly.
Even if we're putting on, and most times we are, we're just faking it. Um, and knowing that we are, we just kind of play the game. Well, that's exhausting. Like you said, that is depleting. It's
It is.
depleting. And when you get to that point where you no longer feel like I need to change who I am for you. Not saying that you don't need things in your life that needs to change, but when you're
Right.
consistently trying to change for people based on where you are, who they are, how can you evolve? How can you transform? How can you learn to identify with yourself enough, bringing it back to this topic, to even know how to be intimate or to have intimacy in a relationship, not sex, because sex is sex. I mean,
Exactly.
ooh, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. I think some of the best sex or making love is when you are in tuned emotionally, when you
Mm.
have an emotional, heartfelt attraction, mental attraction is the best love, I'll say.
And for the folks who
It's when
don't
you can
know,
have the best love.
exactly, for the folks who don't know what Tam is speaking on, she's actually speaking on intimacy. Intellectual
Intellectual
intimacy.
intimacy. All right.
Intellectual intimacy. That means that very free and open with your partner. You could be very open, very candid, very wide open, no doors closed, no windows up, no barriers up. You could be who you
Right.
are as he or she could be who she is.
Right. Because when you can be vulnerable, because I do believe some people can be more vulnerable in the bed, meaning the sex and the love, without
Right.
being vulnerable on the outside. But when you can when those two collide, when the vulnerability
It's true.
outside collides with the vulnerability in the bedroom,
I believe that, I believe that either sex can be vulnerable in bed, but they're going to pay for it later if they're not completely open with themselves. You follow what I'm
I
saying?
think some people find it easier to be vulnerable. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like some people find it easier to be vulnerable in bed when the lights are out and when you can get
Here's the
going.
thing, though.
But
Right.
when the lights turn back
What I'm
on,
saying,
the vulnerability
exactly.
goes.
When the lights are back on and the sweat dries, you're in trouble because you're back inside
Right,
your head.
right,
Yeah,
right. Even the more, even the more,
absolutely.
even the more.
Absolutely.
So, another thing before we dive into tonight's topic, you guys, of course, we are all about promoting transformation and change because without thought, we can and we do get caught up in life. We just get caught up in the routine of life. We do the same things, we go the same direction, we hang with the same people who often don't um, allow us to grow or even encourage the transformation. So, in order to promote change, we ask you to do a silly thing is move your trash can, move one that you visit frequently, one that you use often, move it to a different location, and then monitor how often you return back to that old location and allow yourself to give that some thought. Why? Why did I move it? Consciously move it. I know I moved it, but I'm going back to where it was because there are some answers in there that will make you change the way you look at your life, you do your life, the way you understand your life, and the whys. Like we hold
Right.
on to things, we hold on to people that we should have let go a long time ago. Not telling anybody to let go of anybody by no means, but again, we do hold on to people and things just because it's what we know. Period. And we're
Right.
afraid to change. So now let's get into the show. Trent and I had a really good conversation. I told him, I said we should have recorded this and just put it out there because we got gone this morning in that conversation.
Yeah. If folks only knew that the conversation, man, we go way deeper than we go here on a broadcast. And
Yeah,
it'd be I get so much from those conversations, as I'm sure you do as well. And I mean, it's just rewarding for me. Every time we speak on a variety of topics, I leave away with something.
right. And it's not intentional. Like I
No,
just
not at all.
simply called to say, hey, or do you plan on joining me tonight? Because if not,
Yeah,
I always have to come a bit more prepared when it's just me because of course when he says something, it strikes up a whole nother conversation that I can feed off of and vice versa. So it was just about, hey, are you gonna come on tonight? And it went, I mean, it went
went from
out
there.
there in a deep,
Uh,
deep way. And I as well, like I get so much from it when we have those conversations. And I left him with, we should have just recorded this conversation and put it out there and we
right,
would have been done for the day. So we've talked a little bit about the emotional, about the intimacy part. And I'm going to kind of go back to where, and I don't know if you guys, if everyone listened to the show, and I don't even remember the actual title of it, but I do, when I went to put some of my banners up, I saw some things that we had initially put out there about our emotions. So I have out here emotion, strong feelings deriving from one's circumstances, mood, or relationship with self. Now, the definition that I found stopped right there with self. I'm sorry, with others. I added the self in it because we tend to put more focus on the emotions of others, thinking that their emotions are out of whack or not intact, rather than trying to determine or knowing where we are emotionally.
right,
What are those things that we have not tuned into the why? And I wanted to go over this before we started talking about emotional intimacy because you need to understand emotions, your emotions. And I don't feel that we put enough work in or that we look in that mirror, turn that mirror inward enough to understand our emotional intelligence.
right.
What about you, Trent? Do you agree?
I totally agree. Actually, I have a couple of things jotted down here.
Okay. And while
I mean,
tell me when you ready for those things or you want me to keep going?
now you can keep going. I'm actually sending this link to Mark so he can jump
Okay,
in.
super. And I sent some links out. Hope everybody got them, the ones who asked me to send them out. And let me say this, you guys, we don't have to send the link once we post the show out there. It's free game. Anyone can click on
Yes,
that
ma'am.
link. And so I think some people are getting confused thinking that we have to send you a link. Well,
No,
on my end, I had a few people say, hey, send me the link so I can listen. It's right there live.
actually,
You don't have
what we do prefer, what Tammy and I do
to
prefer,
be 2G.
is the B2G Unity TV network. And all you have to do is go to b2gunitytv.com, b2gunitytv.com, and click on live now. And actually, if you go to
On
now, it's
demand.
actually
Click
streaming.
on live now on demand. Oh, no, live.
Now you can click live because we're streaming now
Okay.
right there, right
Okay.
on your Roku stick and right there on the website.
Now, that being said, they're not able to comment there.
No, no, they can't comment.
Right. And so hopefully we're going to get some of that worked out when we start, because it's going to come to a point where we're probably just going to be going live straight to the Roku and probably not
Correct.
Facebook. And so
Correct.
we will work out the communication part of it, or you being able to comment and perhaps even call in while
That
we're
is the
on
ultimate plan and
Roku.
goal. Most
Right.
definitely.
And let me throw this in. If anybody's looking to add the podcast business to your world, and you want to get a spot in on the Roku channel that we have, B2G, Better Together Unity TV, whether it's cooking, whatever you want to talk about. Of course, I shouldn't say whatever, but because again, we are about transformation and helping
Right.
people grow. Um, so if you have an idea and you want to pitch it to us, please connect. Probably better to connect with Trent on this
Right.
um, for now. So just let us know. All right. Let's see. Did I get to read? Okay. Intimacy, feelings of emotional closeness and connectedness with another person, being able to share a range of thoughts, feelings, and experiences that we have as human beings. Now I'm gonna stop right there. Told you a little bit about emotion, told you a little bit about intimacy. And the title, emotional intimacy. I believe when we think of the word intimacy that we take it right to the bed. We take it to the
Straight
bedroom,
to the physical.
straight to the physical, straight to the sweat,
That's right.
straight to it. And it's so much more that takes place whether you own it or not before you get to that bedroom. One of the things I feel that we are starving from as human beings is the ability to connect with people that and I'll say feel connected to, because sometimes
Right.
it's not always the person that's causing the other person that's causing the disconnect. Sometimes we can be so caught up in ourselves and so caught up in the trauma, so caught up in the depression, or just what we see or what we think we see, that someone can be trying to love all the hurt and hell and the pain out of you, and you are not available for it. But
Exactly.
sometimes we're in relationships that we don't need to be in. And I'm not talking about just the romantic part. Like sometimes we
Relationships
need
and
to step
everything else.
away and grow up, grow out, grow in, grow whatever it is, just grow. Just don't stay planted under the dirt. Just don't stay planted when it's your season to grow. You got something, Trent? Did I cut you off?
No, you good. So let's talk about the four types of intimacy, right? We
Gotcha.
talk about the one that people love the most. That's the emotional intimacy. They think the emotional intimacy, they thinking that that's the physical. It has to deal with the physical.
Mm-hmm.
Yes and no. Okay, it's four types. There's physical, there's spiritual, my favorite, and
Mm-hmm.
intellectual, my favorite as well. So think about it. If you combine those, if you combine all those together, you got something ultimate. But that's when you combine them all, that's called intellectual intimacy. When you combine every last one of those, the
Those four.
physical,
Tell us again.
exactly,
Physical, spiritual.
physical, spiritual, intellectual, and emotional. When
Okay.
you combine them all, when you combine the four, you're gonna get to the intellectual. And the intellectual, once you get to the intellectual stage, you go to an intellectual connection. The connection is phenomenal.
Something's
That's,
happening to your mic. I don't know what.
can you hear me now?
It sounds really muffled, like it's muffled.
One second. Can you hear me now?
Keep talking.
Can you hear me now?
We can. It's but something changed. I don't know
Let,
what it
let
was.
me let me change the setting here because they need
Now
glitching.
you're whatever you just did. So you came back clear.
So can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, it just
Gotcha.
it went muffled out for a minute. Sorry about that.
Gotcha. Maybe that's just me moving around.
Okay.
So the intellectual piece of it, right? That's the most and very important intellectual connection between you and your partner, romantic, where you share intimacy on all sorts of levels. You can feel yourselves. You know exactly what your partner needs and what your partner wants. You know
Hmm.
exactly what they want and need. So the need, expressing the need more than the want. Because once the partner
Explain.
can get that, once the
Explain.
partner can understand that need, once he give you your need, you're gonna get exactly what you want. but the need is very important. Very important. A lot of people confuse the want with the need. This is where everything get misconstrued and misunderstood, and there's a ton of confusion. But once you get that need underway, and he's giving you exactly what you need, he's going to actually give you what you want,
Or she.
or she, he or she.
I do
Either
believe that most of us don't know what we confuse others because we don't consistently know
what we
what
need.
we need. We
Exactly.
confuse, I think you might have just said this, we confuse what we want, and we're so distorted um, about what we want and need, but we put
Exactly.
our wants before thinking that they're what we need. And I believe, to bring the spiritual part in this, where it says that all of our needs are supplied. I will supply all of
Exactly.
your needs, but we get caught up in the things that we want, and we think that those are the things that we need.
Exactly. My favorite part of intimacy with the intellectual side of it, that's because my favorite. The reason it's my favorite because I get to connect with my partner. I get to connect with my partner on so many levels. I could be vulnerable. I could be completely open. I could be completely honest, completely naked. Everything is placed on the table when you have an intellectual connection. There's nothing like it.
And when you say by you could be completely naked, I'm going to put these words in your mouth. You're not talking about naked in the bedroom, naked
No,
as
not at
a
all.
whole, as
Not
yourself,
at all. Not at
right?
all. Now, when I say completely naked, Trent being completely naked with you, completely honest with you, completely open. You know everything about me from the inside out,
Hmm.
not the outside in.
Yeah. So I have up here, intimacy refers to the level of proximity between two people. It requires the ability to be vulnerable. We've talked about that.
Absolutely.
Openness and trust, having the ability to
Exactly.
feeling free to share yourself. I think I messed that up.
Think about it. If I could trust you, think about how much I could love you.
Right, right. But think about how many people, for you all who are in relationships or whatever you're in, what is the proximity between, if you had to say, what is the distance, the space, measure the space between you based on the level of emotional intimacy, or we'll say connectedness that you have, or
Exactly.
your vulnerability to this person. Do you trust them? Um,
Exactly.
do you feel safe?
And we're not speaking on like in proximity. We're not talking about proximity. We're not talking about that type of space and how close are you to that person? How emotionally close are you to that person? How mentally connected are you to that person?
Hmm.
Because if you're actually mentally connected to that person and emotionally connected to that person, 10,000 miles gonna feel like he's right next to you.
Check out that next statement. Sex is better when emotional intimacy is part of the relationship. You're tuned into their mental frequency.
That's a beautiful thing, man. That's a beautiful
Their
thing.
mental
Oh,
frequency.
absolutely.
When's the last time you thought about the mental frequency in your relationship with that guy, with that girl? Like, how do you connect? What are the conversations that you have? Do you even feel connected to them? Because I believe there's a lot of people who will spend a lifetime together and never tap into
Exactly.
emotional
When you
intimacy with that person.
when you find two people mentally connected, you'll find that the sex is better, the romance is better, the communication is better. Everything about it, it's going to flow natural. It's going to be very organic. Nothing's going to be forced. Nothing won't be forced. If you're mentally connected to that person, I'm not talking about with toxic stuff. I'm talking about healthy stuff. When you're mentally connected, healthy, that's a beautiful thing. Look
Hmm.
like your good buddy Slash came through. What up,
I
Slash?
did. Yeah, I saw Slash's comment there. He was just speaking. Happy Tuesday, my B2G people, Miss Tammy, and Mr. Epic.
What up? What up?
He's Yeah. Thank you, Slash, for joining us. He also says in relationship, there's four types of intimacy are key, and I think he might have came in after you mentioned, after you mentioned those.
Okay.
Intimacy. Let's see, emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual. So
Okay.
yeah, Trent brought those into the conversation I guess perhaps before you logged in. But you're exactly right. I don't know if we even really, and people in this day and time, well, I was going to talk about the physical, but no, I think people get caught up in the physical. Some, not all, because I think also some people are so desperate in this season, because I do think there needs to be a level of attraction always,
There
like
needs to be a
whatever that
level.
is.
I agree with that. There should be, and that there needs to be a level of attraction. But most people get caught up in that feeling.
Of
They chase
attraction.
exactly. They chase that feeling.
Hmm.
They don't even realize that they're chasing the feeling. That's all they're chasing. But what about if you're chasing her mental? What about if you're chasing his mental? That's more beautiful than the physical touch.
Right, right. The
It's more
physical
beautiful
touch
than
becomes almost like, man, like
it's on a different realm.
magic. Yeah,
Exactly. When
yeah.
well, like I said, when the mental is straight and it's healthy and nothing toxic going on in that relationship, the love making, the sex is gonna be magical. It's gonna be magical.
Right. So I have here emotional intimacy further introduces you to parts of yourself, and fear, parts of yourself that you fear letting go.
Exactly.
Right. So
Right.
I do believe when you meet that person and you guys connect on a level deeper than sex, the relationship changes. There's a
Right.
level of safeness, protection, vulnerability that you cannot deny. That
That's
you
where
can't
sex comes
deny.
secondary.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right. So let's see. Let me check these comments here. Okay, we're all caught up there.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Okay, so let me ask you this: how do you feel about what percentage? I did do some research trying to find this. I don't know why.
Hmm.
Maybe I just didn't put in the right words. What percentage, in your opinion, of people who are in relationships, and we're talking about the romantic relationship for this question, um, tap into the emotional intimacy? What percentage would you say?
They gonna throw darts at me. It's probably very low at probably like 5 or 10%.
Oh wow, I
Because
was
it
at least going to say 20.
Nah, that's giving a little too much. Because
Really?
you have to
Okay.
exactly, because you have to tap into the higher level of yourself, which is very
First,
difficult. Exactly. You have to do that first, but which is very difficult for the average person who hasn't accepted their flaws, for the average person who hasn't accepted everything about themselves, who haven't dealt with everything about themselves, who haven't looked in that inward mirror. So it's pretty low, 5 to 10%. I guarantee you, 5 to 10% of people haven't reached that level of the high level of themselves at
right,
this point in their life.
right,
And I'm
and that
talking,
is the
I'm
problem.
talking
That's
exactly, and I'm talking 40, 50 year olds.
right. 60, 70 year olds
Exactly,
still
yeah,
looking for, still battling with themselves enough to
exactly.
say that it's not me, it's you. And sometimes again, you guys, it's not always the other person. Sometimes we shouldn't even be in a relationship.
It was me a ton of years.
Right.
It was me a ton of years. I always pointed the finger because I knew I was the corporate and all that stuff. I brought that bullshit. It was me
Mm.
a ton of years pointing, knowing it was me all along. Knowing it was me. So I was part of that percentage. So sorry, folks. Here on B2G, we keep it a buck. So I'm gonna say 5 or 10%.
I think it's always us until we have tapped into a different um until we've tapped into, I use the word transformation, a
Right.
transformation of the mind, a renewing of the mind, a type of unlearning that makes you question every
Yeah.
piece of you continually until you dive into that. I'm going to put this because I don't think I read this one exactly right. Emotional intimacy excuse me, emotional intimacy further introduces you to parts of yourself, and the fear of letting them into your mind and life reduces. Like, so I wanted to focus on fear, because imagine, you guys, fear, the word fear. That is a feeling. Like
Right.
I feel fearful. And if you, let's say you run into a dog, there's going to be a reaction to that fear to either get out of there, to run, to go, whatever. Just you're gonna get from around the dog.
Right.
But the fear of rejection, the fear of love, you don't run from that in the same way. Like you remove yourself, but sometimes we sit in it. We sit in the fear of rejection. We sit
Right.
in the fear of depression, waiting for it to change itself. We don't get.
Again, like you said, it's the feeling that they're running from. Again, like I said earlier in the podcast, it's the feeling that we look for when we're dealing with these things physically.
Mhm.
So, and on that side, the flip side of things, without facing yourself, is the fear. Is that feeling? You don't want that feeling. You don't want to feel. You don't want to feel that way. So you do something out. You do the opposite, the total opposite. But when
Hmm.
you're actually trying to get better and you're bettering yourself, you run toward it. You're
Right.
supposed to run toward the field.
Right.
That's the only way you're gonna get opened up.
Right.
Running toward the feeling.
Right. And also healing and become having an intimate relationship with yourself, because that is possible. It's necessary. It's mandatory to have
Right.
that intimate relationship with yourself, because just like that person, whether it's romantic or family member, whatever, when people are in your life that you are connected to or feel connected to, feel safe, that you can be vulnerable, that you can be
Right.
your authentic self, um, with truth, not lying to yourself, not being in
Exactly.
denial, but with your truth, and the person still is there for you. Those people open your life up, like they
Mhm.
crack your jar open. That's the same thing that you do for yourself when you tap into the intimacy, the oneness, the becoming of one with yourself. Again, I
Right.
stand on this. Some of us don't need to be in relationships, not just romantic relationships. Some of us need to spend some time alone for a while
Exactly.
so that we can
That should
heal.
be everyone's top priority. Having a relationship with yourself, having a good relationship with yourself. Not just a good, a healthy relationship with yourself. Everything else is gonna fall in place at that point. Once you love yourself, man, once you get into yourself, you're good. And I'm not talking about getting to yourself in a superficial way or a narcissistic way or anything like that. I'm talking about getting to yourself, getting to your higher self. And so you're on a whole different level at that point and at that stage in life when you do that.
How do you
Once you have
feel
that
about
relationship,
people? How do you feel
go ahead.
about people being in relationships who've not um, did the work? And I'm not saying that people can't get in a relationship, because the right person who has the patience and the love for you and the ability to help you grow through your stuff, it is possible. But again, if you continuously give the pushback, if you continuously want to reside in the seat of your trauma, and you guys, I'm not minimizing trauma, so please don't come to me with that like I am, because I understand trauma, because I've been traumatized, so I
Right.
understand it. I just choose not to sit in it. And some people will say, well, that's a choice that you were able to make, thank God. No, that's a choice that I have to make, that I choose to make. And it
Let me
doesn't mean
tell you,
that whatever I feel goes away and I've not had to deal with it and still don't think about it and deal with it. No, it doesn't. It just means I've chosen a side that I want to be on, and that's where I'm going to be.
speaking of sides, let me give the audience a view of what it looks like to be broken and what it looks like to be fixed because I was both.
Mm.
I was actually both. But when you actually, if you when you've done the work and you have a partner who's still broken, who continue to do dangerous things to themselves, and I'm not talking about physical, I'm talking about emotionally, not facing themselves. The person who's fixed is going to see a shell of a person. That's all he sees, a shell of a person. So I say break away from that relationship. I would advise anyone who's actually done the work with themselves and they're in a relationship with a partner who hasn't done the work, who refused to do the work, run away quick. They're delusional. Run away because I've been on both sides of it. I've been broken. I've been fixed. And when I was broken, I didn't want to hear shit from no one. I just wallowed in my pain, wallowed in my trauma, and just dealt with it within myself.
What was your
I
starting point for you? What was the starting point to where you came to grips with the things that you said here? Meaning, you realized you knew you were the broken one. You knew that you needed to be fixed or whatever. You needed to do the work. What?
honestly, you talking about the pivotal point for me
Right.
when I lost something that I really needed.
You lost something that's something you need.
I lost something that I really needed. That was the wake up call for me.
Okay.
And I started gradually changing my life at that point.
Okay. Okay.
I'll leave it at that. We'll talk about it on another show,
Okay.
but I lost something I really needed.
Okay. So
And
slash
that
is
when that person that is a person that I needed and I lost her with my reckless ways.
okay.
That's for another day though.
Okay. All right. So slash says this may go over folks' head. Hearing there's levels to the two things, not truly being in touch with their emotions. Let me put it out here so that they can see it. This writing is so little. I forever hate this. They don't know how old we are. There it is. It's a little bigger there.
Hey, speak for yourself, not knock it off.
I can't see. I'm just gonna go and tell y'all like it is.
Go
I'm not.
ahead.
And then when I do this, of course,
Well,
it hides.
the viewers are going to see it totally different from
Yeah,
what we're seeing it. Yeah.
right. But I gotta read it.
Go ahead.
So this may go over folks' head. Hearing there's levels to things, not truly being in touch with their emotions or dealt with their trauma, where they have a force field surrounding them that no one got through. Okay. And we take that into our relationships.
Yeah, we
And
do.
unless again two people are working, um, it's amazing to me and how even for myself, like I'm in a different stage now and phase because it truly is about communicating and understanding.
Right.
No matter what that looks like, no matter like no matter what that looks like or how we have to get it, it has to be got. And I know I didn't say that right.
Right.
It has to be got. Because without that understanding, there is no intimacy. Without that understanding, and get it, you guys, understanding doesn't mean that we think the same way about that thing.
Exactly. In a nutshell, to get to that emotional intimacy, to get to the spiritual intimacy, to even get to the physical intimacy and the ultimate intellectual intimacy, you have to face yourself first. You have to have that relationship with yourself. It's imperative that you build a relationship with yourself before you bring somebody into that mess. And that's as clear as it can get. You have
Right.
to deal with yourself first. I had to deal with me. Once I lost my jewel, I had to deal with me because I was responsible for placing her into someone else's arms. That was my doing.
Hmm. Wow.
Go ahead.
Tell us more.
Now we're gonna save that for another show. Maybe we'll
Hmm.
do that on the unpacking show that I promised you I'd do with
Okay.
you. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll do that.
This was from a previous I wish I could think of the name of the show. We titled that one. People are failing at understanding, loving, and being who they were created to be. You're not fighting the world, you're fighting yourself. And I wanted to bring that one in because you're in your relationship, in your romantic relationship, oftentimes you're not fighting that person. You're fighting yourself. You're fighting the avoidance of the fear that you have of being vulnerable, of
Right.
being, of having those difficult conversations. One thing I can't speak for everybody, but one thing I did realize for myself um, is that my communication started to be on a deeper level, meaning the sharing of things that had deeply wounded me, had deeply
Right.
hurt me and I had been carrying them in my life, I would find myself just opening up about things that you think that you would never really have a conversation about with people,
That's right.
you know? And so for me, this topic tonight is for those people because I feel like if you're going to do relationship, then damn it, do it. Don't, because if you're not doing it from an emotional, intimate aspect, then why do it? Because
What
it's
you doing it
work.
for? Right.
Why? You're doing it just for people to say, "Oh, I got a husband, I got a wife, I got a boyfriend." So what? If that shit ain't intimate, if you and he or she not connected, y'all ain't got nothing. Y'all just doing some stuff.
Absolutely.
And I meant that just
You
how
know,
I
you know,
said
you
it. Y'all
know
ain't
what I call that?
got nothing.
You know what I call that? Superficial living. There's nothing worse. It's still bad when you superficial living single. When you superficial living as a couple, y'all in trouble.
Hmm.
That's horrible.
But I truly believe that is, like I said, 80%. Like you said, less. I mean, I think 80%, and you're right,
So,
I'm
so
probably
you
being generous.
you're being very generous. So you
I'm
telling
probably
me
being generous.
you
I'm
you
probably
tell,
being generous.
you're being very generous. So I was
Yeah.
getting ready to say. So you're telling me that 80% of people, period, as a whole, male and female,
No,
have
no,
reached a
no, no,
higher
no.
level of themselves.
No, 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 no. Exactly. That's why I'm saying I'm being generous as it relates to the relationship part of people being feeling connected and safe
Right.
and vulnerable and truly enjoying each other's company for the most part. For the most
Exactly.
part, no, no. I had said, yeah, yeah. I'm being generous. I'm trying to be hopeful in it. Yeah,
It's cool to be hopeful, but you got to give it to them. Keep
right.
it a buck with them because I mean, come on, man. Let's just be honest, folks. Let's just be honest. Right now, if you're in your living room looking at us right now, you're watching us on the Roku channel, on the B2G TV network. If you're watching us right now, can you look to your right or your left and say, you know that partner of yours emotionally? You might know him physically, but can you really say you know them emotionally, mentally, intellectually, spiritually? Can you really say that?
Can you say that you are tuned in, tapped in, and turned on to your very own emotions, that you have
That
an
it.
understanding of perhaps when you are, um, I should go over these emotions, when you're angry or when you're feeling like you can't trust people, like all of those things.
Exactly.
Do you know how you respond, or do you understand your responses to those emotions? How do
So,
you show up? How do your emotions allow you to show up in life?
so when your anger kicks in, and this is for the ladies mostly, and some gentlemen act like that as well. But when the anger kicks in, and you've actually done the work as a team and in the relationship, you've done the healthy work. When the anger kicks in, the intellectual should take over.
Hmm.
The intellectual connection, the intellectual emotions, all that stuff should kick in. And that should be your safe place. That should be your safe word. Intellectual emotions, emotional intellectuals. That should be your safe word because wait a minute, hold on a second. I could be safe with Trent. I could be safe with Tammy. I could be safe here. I could say what I want to say and express myself without hurting one's feelings.
Hey, but if you do, because and Mark, I'm gonna get that comment out as well. I'm gonna read this one that I have on the board, but we spoke about what you just wrote a little bit ago as well. But let's say that you mess up in this relationship, like the conversation doesn't go as well, and you realize that your response to that emotion was carried out incorrectly. Let me ask, for the people who are in a relationship, when's the last time you went back and said, I'm sorry for the way that I handled that?
Exactly. And
Do
this
you
is
have the
where,
ability to just say, I'm sorry, I did not handle that correctly?
again, this is where the intellectual emotion's supposed to kick in so you can self check yourself.
Right.
Like, wait a minute, hold on a second. Let me apologize, Tammy. I'm sorry for the things I said because I went back and thought about this and pondered over it, and I need to fix this before bedtime.
Hmm.
That's
So
because
Slash,
go
that's
ahead.
what Slash says. Hearing, I'm sorry, hearing someone loving on them is weird. Hearing someone loving on them is weird. A turn off. Okay, Slash, tell me what you mean by that. Or maybe your boy here knows. Checking, checking and caring about them can trigger negative responses. Intimacy is like, oh wow, he said a mouthful there.
That's
Oh,
true.
I need more on that, Mark. Intimacy is like that Jermaine Stewart song, "We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off."
Here's the
Now,
thing.
that part, you guys
I
checking
recently
in and caring about them can trigger negative responses. That's some deep stuff, and it's
I recently dealt with that, like maybe a year and a half ago, where this person that I was dealing with, she could not take the emotional labor that I was giving her because it was evident that she did not have the emotional ability, the emotional labor to actually labor within that relationship. So everything was offensive to her.
hmm,
Everything was offensive to her. When I'm coming from a genuine place, a non malice place, I'm just genuinely checking in and making sure everything's good. Because if you truly care and love about a person, if you truly care and love about a person, when you see them and they're not willing to do the work, it should hurt you to your core.
hmm.
That should hurt you to your core that your person does not want to do the work on themselves. That your person does care less to bring their chisel to the party. That should hurt you to your core if you genuinely care. So I totally get what Mark's saying.
Right.
You have to be very delicate when you're dealing with people like that. And I'm gonna tell you straight up, to be as blunt as I possibly can be. If you're in a relationship like that and you have a person like that, that's your partner, that's your person, move away quick. Move away quick. That shit is contagious.
Even if it's just for the time to allow them, because
Yeah,
the
allow
longer
them,
you
give them the
stay in
space.
and not require
Exactly.
um, that they put the work in,
What I'm saying is give them the space and remove them out of your vortex
yeah,
and
yeah.
let them deal with their own shit
And,
at this
and it's
point.
for you and for them.
Exactly.
It's for you and for them.
Yeah.
This part, checking in and caring about them can trigger negative responses. Why slash? I want to hear from you about this as well. So put in the comments. Um, why do you got? Why do you think that is? I have an assumption for why I think that is, and I'll share mine first. I believe that when this person, people you check in on, or you just trying to make sure that they're okay, you're trying to show them love. I have this thing about sometimes it's not what's on the table that they don't want. It's the person that's sitting at the table that they don't want.
Ooh, woo.
Do y'all get that?
I got it.
So sometimes and it's not, this is not just about romance. Sometimes when you're trying to show someone love and care about them and that turns into a negative thing, they've not gotten over some love that they needed and still probably want.
I'm gonna
And
share
hear that
something here.
word, need and
Thank
want.
you. I'm gonna share something here from a client of mine, right?
Share it.
And she's been in a relationship for 31 years.
The same
Not a
version.
marriage, not a marriage. In a relationship for 31 years. They have grown kids and everything. And she's trying to actually master the art of saying goodbye at this point. So this is what I'm helping her with. But here's the thing. She keeps expressing what he hasn't given her over the years. The stuff that she needs. She's realizing that all the monetary stuff that he's given her over the years amounts to nothing, amounts to zero. Now she sees the very importance of she's been missing out on this emotional part for a very long time. That's exactly what she needed. She needed to be emotionally taken care of, not just monetary take care. Now she realizing that she's willing to walk away from a 31-year relationship, very fruitful as far as monetary things, and move away from that. But she's been in a funk for the past 25 years. And I'm like, so you mean to tell me you haven't been happy in 6 years? 6 years of that relationship, that's the only thing, that's the only time you've been happy? And like I told her, I said, at some point you have to take personal responsibility for the toxic you have allowed to your party. You've been making the Kool-Aid all these years.
Okay, so they've been married 31 years.
It's not a marriage.
I mean,
That's what I'm
well,
telling
together.
you. They've
31
been together
years
31 years.
they married.
Exactly. They're married, but it's so crazy. I mean,
But she's been happy 6 of those years.
six,
The beginning?
the beginning. But this is where she didn't set the boundaries. This is where she didn't say, this is what I need from you. She had the rose colored glasses on because he's able to give her all that monetary stuff.
Okay, so he was providing,
Oh, he's super
monetarily.
provider, super,
Okay,
super provider.
okay,
But
okay,
what he lacked most, what she really needed.
right. It's food for the soul. Like your relationships should be food, and
Exactly.
it should be for that person as well. Like no one should be the only one being fed the food for the soul.
Exactly. That should be a full table. That table should be full. It should be a feast on that table for both parties.
Yeah.
Everyone should be eating at that table. Everyone.
Wow. Slash, okay, did you come back with the sorry here. I wanted to hear more about hearing someone loving on them is weird. Oh, hearing so that people when they hear that someone wants, I guess, to love on them, it sounds weird to them. I think that's maybe what he was saying.
It'll definitely
Okay.
sound weird to a broken
Okay.
person. Yes.
Right, right.
I agree. I
Because
totally agree.
sometimes we don't, and people, I won't say sometimes, people who feel that way, you guys don't feel deserving of love. And it's the
Exactly.
hardest thing to admit to yourself that you truly don't love yourself or you don't know how to love because, again, you're
Exactly.
waiting to be validated by someone, something outside of yourself. And no matter what has happened to you, I say this, I say this, I say this, no matter how bad you think ha- whatever happened to you was or is, I'll show you someone that had it so much worse.
Exactly.
And they survived. I was with this lady today and I really in my line of work I get to meet a lot of people and in showing them our units, I have a lot of conversations with them,
Right.
and I hear some of the things like, and it's a nice complex. Like I hear people, well, that closet is far too small. I have so many clothes. The closet's
Mm.
not big enough for my clothes. The wall is too slanted. I will have to go like this a little bit. I mean, like this. Well, today, that's what I heard today about a slant in a wall.
Right.
Um, and today, while coming home, I passed under I was going, I'm on the interstate and I go under the viaduct or whatever. And there are people who they're homeless and they have lined the interstate, the open section inside the little bridge part. They've aligned it with whatever
Right.
to, to have a home, to
Right.
have a home. And
And
that's
you
their
you
home.
complain about you complain about a
And we
small closet.
complain about so many little things all the time. Like it has become our norm. So imagine the brokenness, the negativity in you that you will not force yourself to see. Because sometimes you have an intimate person right there with you who is ready to meet you where you
But
are
here's
and
the
love
thing.
you, but you
Here's the
don't see
thing.
it.
Here's the thing when you talk about that person being there ready and willing to do the work with their partner, their said partner, right?
Hmm.
But you got to be a hell of a man or woman to locate that broken chain. it's gonna take some stuff, man, for you to actually deal with that. So you got to pack a lunch if you're willing. You know, you're into that relationship. If you there, you've actually invested in that relationship. Pack a lunch. It's gonna be hard to find that broken link.
Mm. It's hard to find because the person when a person hides it, I
They
mean
don't even know where they put it.
that right. When a broken person hides their brokenness, they don't know where it is.
Exactly.
They don't know where it is. Why? Because they keep that you avoid it for so long until you think you're no longer broken. That is the other
That's right.
person.
Thanks, Slash came back actually.
Yeah, I just put one out here that I wanted to read from him. I keep hearing folks say you may not be ready for a relationship. That doesn't mean you can't have friends and relate to others, even while doing the work. We're imperfect people loving and learning. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, and I think we did say that earlier. However, it comes a point in time, and I don't see this as giving up on people. I see this as freeing people because you can hold a person back if you don't hold them accountable. Let me say that again.
Absolutely.
You can hold someone back. You can keep them from moving forward by not holding them accountable to become, and not even become, because you're not lost. Just to see there's
Exactly.
so much more that to you than what you see. When you look in that mirror, I mean, you got to sit or stand and stare and cry and turn away and look again and try to understand where you are and why, and how are your emotions showing up in
Exactly.
your life. How are your emotions keeping you from being in an intimate relationship with
Right.
yourself first so that you can have an intimate relationship with that guy, with that girl, with that family member, whatever it may be, whoever it may be. So Slash, I agree with you. I agree with you, but I also think you have to have some discernment. Um, I don't think you do. You have to have some discernment in relationships and know when to let people go.
Exactly. And I'll add to that. To add to that, you do have to know what that discernment. You have to know exactly when to leave. You have to know where that exit door is quick because you could be sucked in any moment.
Hmm.
Again, you could be sucked in any moment, man. That stuff is contagious. It's like a disease.
It's
If a person
toxic.
is
It will hold you down.
exactly,
It will hold you back.
it'll hold you down.
It
It'll
can
hold you
trigger
back.
you in ways that you have or that you've grown through. It could bring back those
Exactly.
triggers for
You
you.
become stagnant trying to help these people, man. Pulling
Yeah.
them out of quicksand, become stagnant. It's okay to pull them up out the mud, and it's even okay to wash them off, but make them put their own clothes on.
Or if they jump back in, walk
That's
away.
on them. Walk away.
Right. And I think we should verbalize, hey, I did when we can. I did what I can do here.
Absolutely.
Maybe I'm just not the person that was set to help you come through this. So let me go so that that person, maybe you can see that person, because sometimes we can be so focused on that thing, that person, that situation. That's the reason we talk about moving the trash can. Sometimes you just got to move your shit. It's like the
Absolutely.
thought that I was telling you guys about the last show that we did, where we had talked about taking those thoughts captive. And the night the last night we did that Trent and I was on together, I remember saying that I had a thought that I knew that it wasn't even worth pulling up to the traffic light and
Mhm.
stopping to try to take it captive to see what I would do with it. I already knew, no, this one has to go. This is not, I'm just going to pass them. I'm going to put the signal on and I'm going to pass it and let it do what it does right there where it is.
Mhm.
Um, it's about choices, you guys. And I feel that any relationship, no matter how bad it is, if there are two people there who's willing to show up and be naked, not just in the bedroom, and more perhaps not in the bedroom. I won't even say not just in the bedroom. How about let's not in the bedroom for a while?
Right, right.
How about just not in the bedroom for a while? I don't know why my computer keeps going out here. Um, But working on yourself, because I'll tell you this, no matter what we talk about, what it boils down to is your relationship with yourself.
Right.
Because there's nothing here that we talk about um, that is not about you first. So if emotional intimacy is lacking in your relationships, guess what? It's lacking in you. You know why? Because if it's lacking in your relationship and you're okay with it, that you're willing to stay and put up with it, um, then it's lacking in you. You don't have it to give if you don't have it. And the vice versa. The person you're with, if they don't have it to give, they can't give it to you. They
Right.
cannot. They cannot, and neither can you, neither can we. I do believe, I'm going to say this, that it is one of the things, I don't know if I got to complete this sentence earlier. It is one of the things that I think we as human beings are missing, meaning the feeling of connectedness. Just take the intimacy out of it, because intimacy really is about feeling connected, a sense of belonging, a sense of not doing and being in this world by yourself, especially and particularly with those who you choose to do your life with. An everyday person who's right there, that you're coming and going with, you're sitting down eating dinner with, you're sleeping with. And some of us have just gotten to a point where we're passing each other. This is why, because once you want, you can only go so long. Like the lady you are talking about, your friend, I guess it
Right.
was a lady. Like, you can only go so long in a relationship with anyone that's lacking intimacy.
That's true.
You can only go so long. Thus, you may not leave. You may not leave, but the affair is leaving. The ignoring is leaving. The passing of each other is leaving. That's you're already gone. Just because people are
Exactly.
in a house, married, doing life together, looking like a family, it doesn't mean that they have an intimate connection. And again, I'm not talking about the bed. I'm not talking about the bedroom,
That's right.
which is why the person can be with that person for 30 some years and realize my soul is empty with this person, to the point where you can't even go and have a conversation and get that back.
Because actually, if you think about it, right, if you have that physical day in and day out within that relationship, that 30-year relationship, 20-year relationship, and you're not emotionally attached to that person, you're not mentally attached to that person, you just might as well go and get you a hooker.
Right? Because imagine that long. Because I've always wondered how that must
Yeah.
be really difficult to be with someone that long. But
Yeah, yeah,
we're in a season where people, I know I am seeing a lot of elderly people who are getting divorces. When I'm saying
exactly.
60, 70, who've been with these people for a lifetime. And you wonder what happened. Well, it didn't just happen, it's been happening.
At
The
this stage in the
disconnect.
game, at this stage in the game, if you're not emotionally, spiritually, emotionally connected, with that intimacy, intellectually, connected, get yourself a call, girl. Because I mean, if you're not connected with her, why are you touching?
Hmm. Whoa. Ask that question again. If you're not connected.
If you're not connected with her, why are you touching her?
Hmm. On that note, it's
We're gonna
8:35.
say goodnight.
Because the great people need to answer that question. Because you can save yourself a lot of added trauma
Yeah,
to your life. There is no, let me say this. Let me say this. There is not telling anybody to leave anybody. There is nothing wrong with being alone.
nothing at all.
Nothing.
And it's
Matter
it's
of
a, it's
fact,
it's even a more beautiful thing when you actually reach that higher level of yourself and you've done the work. Oh,
right,
that's beautiful. It's beautiful, man.
right. But there's this stigma on being alone. Like, if you only knew, you know. There's this stigma on being alone, even to the point where people who are alone or don't have someone in their life, they
Right.
they buy into the stigma of unworthiness or
That's right.
something's wrong with me because I don't have one. No, something's wrong with the people who have one and don't have one.
That's right.
Now that's the people that something's wrong with. That have one and don't have one. Hear that. Hear that, people. Have one, but don't have one.
That's right.
All right.
Absolutely
All
right.
right. All right. All right. So,
Yes.
um, you're on today's Tuesday. You're on tomorrow.
On tomorrow, Coach D and I we're talking about reality TV. Are you watching reality TV to cover up your own mess? Are you watching reality TV to cover up your own mess?
I think they're yes, and also to validate their own mess.
Okay, good stuff.
I
And while
think
you were away, we actually, Brother Ramiel had a guys' night on a Monday, and we talked about are you the prize? Is the woman the prize? And we're asking to get a panel of women for part two with Brother Ramiel and myself to come on so we could actually get down to the meat and potatoes of this thing. Because we talked about this new guy. The new guy that's out there, he's not doing it right. He's not having the right conversation with you guys. So we decided to have several ladies on the panel so we could actually have this conversation. And what we're asking, what we're requesting that you come in, you come in to listen to understand. Don't come in to reply or to respond. Come in to listen and really listen to understand to real men. Not these new guys,
so.
to real men.
So since you brought that up, if you're a woman that believes that, or maybe that does not believe in the pure essence of feminine energy, um, and I guess I'm gonna throw the word in submissive, being submissive,
That's dangerous
um,
now. That's dangerous for some women now.
allowing your man to be the head of the household without feeling like you are that you're less than.
Less than give
If
him
you
something else.
feel like you don't need a man or that you can do anything that a man can do, if you are that woman and you have the ability to express yourself in a healthy way, doing a healthy conversation, connect with Trent.
Absolutely.
Um, um, and come on with us.
And
So
it's gonna be in a gentlemanly way. It won't be anything malice. Because actually, if you go back onto it's streaming right now, B2G is streaming right now, 24/7. So you can catch Brother Ramiel and myself speaking on "Are You the Prize?" And it's done and it's presented in a very gentlemanly way, and we talk about it in a historical manner. We speak historical facts about relationships and how you, as the woman, have gotten to this point this masculinity and you embracing that. We talk about a ton of things that you guys need to hear and listen to. You need to listen to understand, come in, understand it because it's not coming from a malice place. It's coming from a loving place. And I thought it was very important. It was very important that we sound the alarm on this because you ladies are in trouble. Relationships are in
society
trouble.
has
We're in
brought
trouble.
us to a point where I feel as women, it has brought us to a point where we no longer respect men.
Exactly. And I'm
And
not I'm
not
not
saying
just
that
gonna
we don't need to be respected. Again, ladies,
exactly.
I'm for
And
us in
and I'm not
this
just
in the way that I see it is for us.
and some of this conversation is mainly for the melanated women, mainly for the melanated women, I'll say it, but it's also for the melanated guys, those new guys.
Who's okay and want that, who's okay,
Exactly. Who's okay with that?
right, because
Who's
they
okay
get to
with that?
do what they want to do
Exactly.
and
Those
how
new
they want
guys,
to do it.
you cannot speak for men like myself, Brother Ramiel, Brother Mark. You can't speak for us new guys. You can't. You can't do that. So it's time to sound the alarm so we could have a conversation and come in to listen to understand. so you guys can get a soft place to land.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and you guys haven't come up with a date yet on that, right? You kind of waiting
We're
until
waiting on the ladies. We're
to
waiting on
get
the ladies. So one in there tonight. I think Kathy's she's gonna come on.
okay.
Kathy out of North Carolina.
Okay. It'll
She's
be
saying good
cool to
afternoon.
hey Kathy, it'd be cool to be on there with you. So looking forward to meeting you there.
Well,
So ladies, yeah, I think
B2G don't Miss B2G don't have a choice. Miss B2G gonna be there. She gotta be there. She
gotta
gotta
be.
be there.
Gotta be. Gotta be. Hey Kathy. Gotta be. So you guys, on that note, it's 8:41.
Absolutely.
I'm 55 and my bedtime is 8:30 and I'm
Speak for
hungry.
yourself.
I'm
Speak.
hangry.
Oh, you know what? Go don't sign off right now because she gets
Yeah,
upset when she sings.
I'm hangry. I am hangry.
Exactly.
Let's see what. Okay, can't leave without Slash's final comments. Um, now Slash, don't start with this young
What he
folks
said?
talk. IMO. What's that?
I don't know.
Slash, come on now. IMO. I'm just learning LOL.
Don't tell nobody.
Okay,
So
what is
what do you
IMO?
say?
Let me
What do you
see.
say?
IMO, being submissive. IMO. Slash, what is IMO? Being submissive is conditional, as in conditional love. Perhaps being submissive with the wrong one, now refusing to ever become submissive again, even to their husband.
We're gonna get down to the meat and potatoes of the slice. I guarantee you that. Because
Again,
when
you guys, I think that I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I think the being submissive thing has more to do with the, and maybe that's what he's saying, past trauma
past hurt,
and
it
things like
does.
that that we have not let go of.
That's
And
part of that. That's part of the problem. That's part of the problem. But the way we break it down, we talk about historical facts. Why how women arrived at this point in their life and the stance
I
that they're
think it has a lot
taking.
to do with society and the way that society has played the cards out to us.
Say no more.
Um, and
Yeah,
we've lost the ability to not just
yeah,
think for ourselves, but
yeah.
to live according to, because the word tells us to be
Oh,
submissive.
IMO, in my opinion,
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm going to need you to spell out, in my opinion.
that is hilarious.
And I kept trying to think, okay, what? In my opinion. Okay, Slash. We'll let you go with
We
that
gotta
one.
get out of here. We gotta get out of here.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Kathy,
So
Kathy
thank
gets the last comment. Look, she
okay,
said,
Kathy has something here. Let's see what she said here. A woman who is submissive understands that she got the word safe with that man. Safety and security matters with that word.
absolutely.
But the question would be, and we're gonna get out of here with this one. Um, if you are that kind of woman where you understand and you enjoy being submissive, but you can't or you don't because you don't feel safe. Go back to your last question, Trent. If you're not connected,
You have
finish.
no business touching. You have no business touching her. Or you have no business touching him.
Right.
You're not connected.
All right. Right. So, and we've all been there, done that, but it comes a time we just have to do better. If we want better, we
Exactly.
got to do better. So, great
That's
night
right.
to you people. Trent will be on tomorrow, 7, right?
7 o'clock. Yep.
Trent and Coach D will be on at 7 o'clock tomorrow night, and then we'll be back on next Tuesday, 7:30. And
7:30.
Trent
Right
will
here
be
on the
back on
B2G
Sunday.
Unity TV network. Good stuff.
All right, you guys, be great. We love you all. See you next time.